I'm Paige Sterner, and welcome to eKnights. Today we will be showcasing the Nicholson RTV production students' feature stories. That's how they came to name themselves eKnights, short for entertainment. And entertaining it will be, so stay tuned as we have 5 students and 5 features to introduce you to. First, we have Lincoln Witter, who is currently studying abroad with us this year. His story involves the Maitland Center of Performing Arts. That sounds interesting. Tell me more about it.
Well, the Maitland Centre of Performing Arts initially started as the Starving Artist Studios, and recently of this year it changed from a profit Starving Artist to a non-profit Maitland Academy, and their sort of speciality is teaching people of all ages how to sing, dance and perform, obviously for non-profit reasons.
So kind of how did you go about shooting the package?
Well, we scheduled an interview with Tim Evanicki, who is the centre director, and he was very helpful telling us about his ambitions for the centre and what they plan to do and what they have been doing. And we were able to film on a very busy day where he had loads of lessons going on, and we were able to interview some of the teachers and also some of the students who were there and how they've been affected by it. And being around there, we saw it was a really positive atmosphere, and what he's trying to do is really encouraging for the community.
That's awesome. What kind of drew you to the project?
Mainly just the story of it. It was such a sort of nice, happy story of this person who had founded this centre and really wanted to make it grow. So he was telling us about he's got a new studio which they're making, which is going to be really helpful for them because it's a lot more space and they can get more people involved in performing arts, because he sees it as something essential that everyone should have or have experience in. So that was really nice to get from him.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for speaking with us. Let's take a look at our first package.
My name is Tim Evanicki, and I am the Executive Director of Maitland Academy of the Performing Arts. I had a studio in Orlando when I first moved here in 2004. That studio grew to over 50 students. I was seeing 50 students walk through my living room every week, and I knew that it was time to expand. When Starving Artist Studios opened, we expanded to offer all styles of dance. We offer vocal and instrumental music. We also offer acting classes. Students at Maitland Academy of Performing Arts also have the opportunity to perform in productions. We do 2 productions a year, not counting our summer productions as well that we involve the entire community. In order to better serve the community, changing from a for-profit entity into a non-profit entity was imperative. There are dollars available for us to start programming to serve the special needs of our community that just are not available to for-profit entities. As a non-profit, we are eligible, of course, for government grant money and private donations to make these goals possible. To be able to attain our goal of doing the community outreach, of going into private and public schools, of working with students with special needs. All of those programs require dollars that would otherwise not be available to us as a for-profit.
I'm Miss J, and I've been working at Maitland Academy of the Performing Arts for since the beginning of the summer. So I just started as dance director. We just started a competitive team this year that's going to be performing in the community and doing competitions, and also doing performance to raise money for specific charity events. I want to see them be the best that they can be and really push them technically to learn all the different styles of dance, and so they can grow as a performer and as a technical dancer.
My name is Ainsley Wyatt, and I'm 11 years old. I think I lost my potato. I just moved in next door and I lost my potato. The first day I came here, I was really nervous, but then the second and third time I got less nervous. It was fun. I sang in Ocala it's called Stirrups and Strides. It's for people who can't really walk, and it's to teach them how to ride horses. And it was so much fun to sing there. I was actually very shy. And now since I've gotten here and gotten to know a lot of the people here, I've gotten used to everybody and I'm not shy anymore. When I first come here and see all my friends, it makes me feel good, and because I haven't seen them in a week, so and then when I'm getting ready to go into singing lessons, I'm ready and pumped to do singing, and then I'm ready to tackle dancing when I'm done, and it feels so good.
At the Maitland Academy of Performing Arts, we believe that a performing arts education enriches lives and creates cultural leaders. We believe that a well-rounded education includes music, dance, and theater. We believe that everyone should be able to have access to a professional-level performing arts education. We believe it is our duty to foster, nurture, and grow a love for the performing arts in our community.
Is she ill or insane? Is it water on the brain? What has got her bothered so?
Very interesting. Thank you, Lincoln. Joining me is another talented production student, Jessica Smith. Welcome. Tell me a little bit about your story. What's the title?
The title of our story is called Learning to Walk Again. It's essentially a story about a mother and a daughter. The daughter actually has a spinal cord injury. She's paralyzed from the neck down. And her mother decided to start an organization called Project Walk Orlando to help her out. Project Walk Orlando is essentially a training center for people with spinal cord injuries. They can go there, they can almost learn how to walk again, basically, because essentially other training facilities will kind of teach you how to live your life in a chair. This one teaches you that you can overcome, you might be able to walk again.
How did you hear about the organization and the center?
I heard about the center from my old internship. So I don't really personally know anybody with spinal cord injuries, but I believe that it's really important to cover stories like this because a spinal cord injury can happen to anyone. Usually it affects very young people because they tend to take more risks. So you could just like wake up, go driving one day and be just like Amanda in that chair. So because of that, I think that I really felt that I needed to tell people this story.
Yeah, that's great. All right. Well, that sounds really interesting. I can't wait to look at the package. Let's take a peek.
I got injured in a car accident about a month after I turned 18 during my senior year of high school. I was a passenger in the car accident. I left a prom after party with a friend and I fell asleep in the passenger seat and she fell asleep at the wheel, and we ended up driving off the road and down an embankment. And I broke my neck, suffered a C6 spinal cord injury, and was paralyzed from the neck down. They told me that I would never be able to walk again.
My daughter has broken her neck and is paralyzed. You're looking at your child in the hospital and she's crying like, Mom, I'm paralyzed. And I'm like, oh my God, well, whatever we need to do to get you better, I can't even explain the heart-wrenching fact of it all. And then someone else rolls in the door that's someone else's child and you're like, oh my God, I want to help them too. Project Walk Orlando is a nonprofit that helps those who are paralyzed with a spinal cord injury through aggressive therapy. We are where they come after all their insurance benefits have exhausted and they haven't given up. They don't want to adapt to living in a wheelchair. It's kind of like elite training for the paralyzed.
I work out 3 days a week for 2 hours a day, every week. My mom just really saw a need for a program like Project Walk over here, so she partnered with the owners out there and we opened up Project Walk Orlando in 2009.
I'm from Ohio and I moved here because of Project Walk. I'm C5-6, my injury is similar to Amanda's, and I'm paralyzed from the chest down. Before my accident, I was super active. I played softball, I had a scholarship for college for it, and I just worked out every day. And when I got paralyzed and in my chair, it just kind of what am I gonna do? I mean, my life was working out and practicing and playing, so I didn't know what else to do. And coming to Project Walk, I feel kind of normal again.
These clients, they were told something that I don't think nobody should ever be told, which is they can't do something. And none of them have accepted that. They are obviously proving everyone wrong, saying that they can't do something, and I think it's pretty amazing. It's very motivational, and seeing them progress through the program and seeing them regain function of things that were once paralyzed is just miraculous in and of itself.
Well, I think the biggest thing that's important about Project Walk is that it restores hope for people that have had these life-changing injuries, whereas years ago they told you that this was it, you're going to be in a wheelchair for the rest of your life. We're here to tell you, no, you can regain function and maybe you can walk again one day. My short-term goal would to be able to stand and transfer instead of relying on my upper body completely to transfer. And then my long-term goal is, of course, to be able to walk again. We do always guarantee an increased quality of life. I hope to see in 10 years for Project Walk that we can help more people that are financially burdened by the injury that can't afford our services. We're constantly trying to raise money for our client assistance fund. I owe all of my progress to my mom.
That's a unique story, isn't it? Thank you. We have another great student studying abroad with us this semester as well, and her story involves an interesting tale of a BMX biker. Tell us about the story, Sophie.
Well, Robert, when he was 12, was diagnosed with OCD and really struggled with that for the majority of his younger life, but has taken up BMX riding in the last few years, and since taking up that sport has found that his OCD has not gone away completely, but improved dramatically.
And how did you find him? Like, where did you find the story?
He's a student here at UCF. He studies engineering, and one of my roommates knows him, and I just thought that it was absolutely fascinating. First of all, just the talent that he had for the BMX, and also what that has helped him overcome.
That's awesome. What kind of, does he do competitions, or he just kind of?
He travels a lot. Like he said, that's a massive part of the sport for him. He goes to different countries, different competitions, and meets loads of different people from all over the world.
Wow, that's great. Let's take a look at it.
My name is Robert Branco. I'm 19 years old and I ride BMX. Well, I first got into BMX when I wanted a dirt bike, basically, and my parents pretty much said no, it's too dangerous. So I settled for a BMX bike. I eventually got a dirt bike and started riding motocross for a little while. Like, my mom was so scared when I rode motocross. She's cried at the track a few times before I would go out and ride because she was just so scared for me. And so when I kind of just went more towards BMX, she wasn't worried about it. She's like, oh, you're not even on a motorcycle, you're just on a bicycle. It's fine. I mean, even when I get hurt now, it's kind of just like, oh, again, instead of panicking and freaking out. You only get really hurt on the small stuff if you ask anyone involved in action sports or something like that, because when you try something new or big or scary, you're ready to fall. You're like, all right, if this doesn't work out, here's what I'm gonna do. But if you're just not paying attention or you mess up on something stupid, that's where you get hurt. And I just tried something and it worked, and realized I wasn't scared of that anymore, and realized what I was capable of, and constantly try to push myself. Nothing's really different now than when I first started riding 5 years ago. I still just kind of you just gotta try whatever you want to do and see what happens, see if it works. So I was first diagnosed with OCD when I was about 12 years old. It kind of just came out of nowhere. I used to start worrying about random things, and it got pretty bad. I would start checking things over and over again, whether it was turning off a light, closing a door, and I wouldn't be able to sleep sometimes because of it. My parents were worried for me, and it was taking over my life, school, friends, family, everything. And then it just, once I kind of stopped paying attention to it and just started focusing on my bike, I just didn't really, kind of just went away. Like when I started riding, I kind of just forgot about it. I was just focused on riding my bike, not anything else. I didn't really have time to worry about anything. Traveling plays like a huge part in this sport. When I was in California, one of my friends was like, let's get tattoos. I didn't really know what I was getting until like about an hour before I got it. I knew a compass represented like traveling and direction and going places, and a sprocket kind of went with it. Now a sprocket's kind of like the part that holds onto the chain, that the chain moves around, that allows the bike to move. And I mean, it's in a circular shape, so it kind of fit in with the compass. I'm never gonna forget that trip. I'm gonna remember it for the rest of my life. The thing that my life revolves around, I'm glad I have that like a part of me now. And it almost like motivates me. I have this tattooed on my body. Like it pushes me to go as many places as I possibly can and travel as much as I can and just ride my bike. I feel like if I never started riding BMX, like the OCD that I had when I was younger would definitely still be like relevant now. It would still definitely play a big impact on my life. When I'm riding, I don't like think about anything else. And I feel like if it wasn't for that like obsessive drive, I wouldn't have came as far as I have in this sport, or just where I'd be at a different spot in life for sure.
Thank you, Sophie. Next up, we've got a UCF grad student taking on a hip musical. To tell us more, we have Tyler Milliken. Hi, Tyler.
Hey, Paige, how's it going?
Pretty good. So you want to tell us a little bit about your project?
Our project, it's called Hipster the Musical. We started out, my film group started out with just kind of scrounging up whatever projects around campus we could find to basically turn into a story. And so we set out and we were like, you know, the building next door to Nicholson Communications building is a theater building. Why not start there? So we go there and we find out that there's this group called Project Spotlight. Project Spotlight is a completely student-run, student-organized, student-funded, through and through a UCF student organization from the beginning. And it's basically for anyone who doesn't really necessarily fall into the category of being a theater major, where you have to act for a certain class and you have to direct and you have to screenwrite and things like that. It's someone who just has a passion about theater and wants to be involved. So this Project Spotlight group came out, and one of the people who's involved with it, his name is Alex, and you'll see him in the package. He was the one who wrote the play. And then he was like, well, I'm a writer, but I don't really know how to go forward with this. So he kind of snowballed it to people that he knew, and it eventually got tossed around the campus until a grad student, of which her name is Kate, and you'll meet her in the package too, she's like, well, I want to direct. I've never directed before, this ought to be a fun experience for me. And so she picked it up, took it, and ran with it. And that's kind of where we bring into the package and introduce.
Wow, that sounds really, really cool. I can't wait to check it out. Roll it.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to Hipster, the musical. Whoa, Hipster, the musical. You probably never heard of it. Hipster, the musical. You'll never get it out of your head.
My name is Kate Purcell, and I am director of Hipster the Musical. I have no experience directing musicals at all. I have no background in musicals. So I figure why not give it a shot, and that's really how I got involved in the process. Hipster the Musical, you meet a lovely little girl named Kelsey who is in her first year of college, and she is new to the world, trying to figure out who she is and how she'll fit in. And she encounters James, who is our main hipster character. He basically sucks her into the hipster cult and the hipster way of life, and she tries to figure out if that's how she wants to be, or if the parental influence that she has with her very, very nurturing, very, very protective parents is where she'd rather be with.
A hipster is the modern day hippie or bohemian culture of basically the 2000s era. It takes a lot of influences from the grunge subculture, as well as the hippie culture, the vegan culture, the organic culture, and the rocker, punk rocker culture. So basically they take all of these unoriginal ideas that aren't theirs and make it their own.
The first time I read the show, I thought it had a lot of potential. I had no idea how I was going to tackle it because I knew nothing about hipsters This show is being produced through Project Spotlight, which is a completely student-run organization here on UCF's campus. Everything is student-run, everything is student-led, student-produced, student-directed, student-written for the first time for this fall semester.
I write too much, and I like anything that gets me to write more.
The Writers' Room is part of Project Spotlight, and it is a group meeting once a week to actually either workshop any sort of writing that a student does. So we want to make sure we want to kind of foster that student writing, playwriting, or even film writing eventually. Project Spotlight originally first came about as an outlet for BA theater studies students, the people who don't necessarily want to act, or the people that want to study theater or produce theater like myself, or write it. So this came out as an outlet for people who weren't per se actors or stage managers, but people who wanted to direct, people who wanted to write.
I certainly do want to continue working with Project Spotlight. I think what they're trying to do is certainly beneficial to students, and I think that the more performance opportunities that they have and the more creative opportunities they have, the better. So once I'm done with all of my school for forever, I'm going to be in school for forever, I hope. My goal is to be a university professor of theater and be one of those professors that is flexible and can jump in wherever is needed, whether that is acting, whether that's directing, whether that's stage combat, whether that's theater history. I want to be one of those professors that, hey, whatever we need for this upcoming semester, I can teach it. That's definitely where I want to go.
I mean, you can't get much more hipster than that.
That was a fantastic piece. Our final package is about a warm-hearted umpire. To tell us more is Josh Hemingway. How are you doing today, Josh?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
Pretty good. Now, just tell us a little bit about your piece.
Well, it all started. I was at my little brother's baseball tournament, and there were a lot of games going on. And at the first game we went to, I sat there, and it was hot. Nobody wanted to be there. But the adults always have to seem to show the way. So the first umpire was just lazy, didn't want to be there, just really exasperated. Second game, I found Robin. And from the moment that I heard him call play ball, I knew that there was something more to him than what met the eye. Number one, baseball is all about theatrics, the really getting into it. It's the American pastime. It's there, and it's exciting. And so I saw the way that he treated the kids. I saw the way that he acted around the kids, and I just could tell that there was something, and I wanted to know what it was about him.
And how did you go about shooting it?
Well, my partner Chris and I, we went out and we woke up super early, and we're the first ones at the tournament, and some of the last to leave. We shot it on, got a Canon 7D that we did most of it on, handheld, tripod, monopod, you name it, we did it. And through a lot of time spent editing, I think we got something that both he and I can say that we're proud of.
All right, awesome. Well, your story seems really intense. Let's all watch it now.
Okay, my name is Robin Broderick. I've been umpiring now for, this is my 45th year of umpiring. What got me into baseball? I was at a baseball game in Downingtown, Pennsylvania, Little League baseball game. The umpire hadn't shown up yet, and an announcement came over the loudspeaker and said that if no one wants to umpire the game will be canceled and we'll have to play it at another time. So I volunteered. I jumped up and I said, I'll do this. It was December 10th, 1998. I was hit head-on by a school bus. I broke quite a few body parts. I broke 10 ribs, 2 punctured lungs, major knee reconstruction, and my right ankle went 180 degrees. And the doctor had said to my mother and the rest of my family that was standing there that he ranked me in the top 3 of the worst he's ever seen, and the other 2 were dead. So he wanted to figure out why I'm still around. The doctor was just absolutely surprised when he walked into my room. There were over 100 kids standing in my room. Timmy Simmons, one of the young men that I have umpired for since he was 7 is now standing in front of me at age 18, telling me that his last high school game is May 28th, and he'd like to have me out there. I started to raise my body up to find out again what that date was, and I will never forget the doctor putting his finger in the middle of my chest and pushing me back down and said, "Don't even think about it." I said, "Okay." Well, through blood, sweat, and tears, blood, and sweat, May 28th came out, and I want you to know that I went out and umpired that baseball game. This is what it's all about for me, is putting a smile on a kid's face, telling them great job, no matter what. This is where I started. This is where I can help kids. This is where I belong. Baseball is like life. Never give up. When all odds are against you, never give up, because if you do, they win. Nobody wins in my game but me. My thing is, every time I get on a ball field, I'll say to a young man, "You know what you get to do today?" And he'll smile and he says, "What's that?" And I say, "You get to play baseball." And you know what I get to do? I get to umpire. It's a great day when all those things come together. That's me. Baseball.
We've seen some really interesting stories today. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have. I want to thank all my guests for being here and sharing their compelling feature stories with us. And thank you for joining us here on eKnights. Look for our next episode next month, where we bring you more entertaining stories of unique people and unusual places. Good night, everybody.